Okay, assalamu alaikum. Hope you're well. At least better than I am. This might be a shorter broadcast than usually. Though I can see already we only have one viewer. So it'll end up being that way anyway. I'm unfortunately COVID positive. A few days ago, started to feel very sick. Had a PCR test yesterday, and came out. I did this afternoon. That I pretty much knew it, to be honest, because I was mixing up some people who later on tested positive. So I've definitely contracted it, and it's not fun. I can tell you, it is actually a very difficult disease. Anyway, so that's probably the reason for my voice. Probably it's very different this week. So let's get on with trying to do this quick presentation. Let me find. Okay. All right. So if you check the description, you'll see that this is basically almost like a request to talk about this. Somebody posted a Reddit blog, basically a Reddit post about the Hoor Al Ayn, okay, and talking about the controversy, quote unquote, of the Hoor Al Ayn. And if you go to that, you'll see my own comment there. Let me just try and find the post and read to you. It's a short post, so I can read it to you. And so this person says, this concept is very controversial in the world, especially with the Western world, particularly when the verses in Surah 78 are used and translated to large-breasted maidens. I forgot to actually include that verse. Okay. Many argue that the concept of Hoor Al Ayn, and first of all, that verse doesn't mention, they're not mentioned as Hoor Al Ayn basically in that verse, in Surah, in that Surah. So it says many argue the concept of Hoor Al Ayn is a man-made concept based on the Arab man's sexual fantasies. Hadiths have made it even worse. How can man be given maidens yet women don't get maidens? And so I would like to know, in this person's concept, if women are given maiden, the equivalent of maidens, does that now make it better? It says that now okay. So how can women not get jealous at this? The person is saying they must become robots to be okay with it. Okay, and this is again, I'm reading the post. Many would argue. Just give me 1 second. Sorry about that. He says they must become robots, etc. And he says many would argue that the Christian heaven is much more holier and pure, whilst the Islamic heaven is a harem of sex, etc. So how do you defend this concept apart from saying it's all a metaphor? How could anybody know it's a metaphor? What if it's literal? And generally my response to it is I think it's just ridiculous to paint the depiction of paradise in the Qur'an as some sort of harem of sex. I mean, it's just ridiculous because it's they are the least mentioned things about Jannah. It isn't the issue, I say, if you just, I explained it better in my response to that post. But basically, I think it's the people now who are have their minds filled with sex. People now are the ones who, since childhood, we are exposed to so many sexual images, right? And sex is used to sell everything, literally everything, from cars to hair products to whatever it is. Okay, and we're living in an extremely sexualized environment now, especially now as social media has expanded into things like TikTok and YouTube Shorts. You get these YouTube Shorts now that come up to you, and it's just there's some sort of challenge where it's what, a booty shake, or I don't know what it is. Yeah, right. These challenges that come up on YouTube Shorts, and they come from TikTok originally or something, and of course, the prevalence of pornography and things like this. We're the ones who are like this. So the person who reads the Quran and then thinks that the Quran is overly sexualized, it's they're reflecting their own self. It's themselves looking into that. Okay, because it's certainly not. Very few of the verses which talk about paradise, when paradise being described, okay, many times it doesn't mention the women in paradise at all. Okay, it doesn't mention them at all. And when it mentions them, they're usually at the end of the list of the things mentioned. And when they're mentioned, they're not mentioned in a sexual way. They're not mentioned in this sort of like inflammatory way, if you know what I mean. So anyway, I recommend it if you want to get a better idea. Go and look at my response on that post. But let me just go here through this very quickly. So I decided, let me just put some of the verses in where it's mentioned Hoor Al Ayn. So this is in Surah Al-Dukhan, I think. إن المتقين في مقام أمين. Indeed, the righteous, really, the Arabic says muttaqin, will be in a secure place. And these are, of course, as I've mentioned many times, when people talk about the saved group, the group which will go to heaven, it's the muttaqin, people of taqwa. The people of taqwa are the ones who will go to Jannah. Jannah is for the muttaqin, right? It's not for the believers, it's not for the Muslims, it's for the muttaqin. Okay. في جنات, and then it says what's the next thing mentioned? Within gardens and springs. في جنات وعيون. Then what's mentioned next? يلبسون من سندس واستبرق متقابلين, wearing garments of fine silk and brocade, facing each other. Facing each other. There's like it's described as a companionship, a place you sit and you're enjoying things together. Okay, and then it says كذلك thus, and وزوجناهم بحور عين, and we married them to حور عين. Of course, the translation here says, fair women with large, beautiful eyes. Of course, none of that is in Arabic, and people have always wondered what does actually حور عين mean. The context of all the verses in the Quran obviously make it seem as if these are definitely like women, basically women of paradise. Okay, but what does Hoor Ayn mean? Nobody really knows. Okay, they say Hoor comes from something which is brilliant, sort of like dazzling. You know how like when somebody like who is just like it's got this kind of light in their face and their joy, and they smile, and it's just like it's um, it's like a bright kind of dazzling thing. It doesn't actually mean about being white. Okay, but Hoor Al Ayn. Okay. And Aeen, they say it comes from eyes. Okay, Aeen is eyes, but Aeen, okay, how does that work? It's sort of like it seems to be put that way deliberately to be a kind of mystery. We don't know. Okay, but these certainly are like women of paradise. And then it says, see, it doesn't linger on it. It's not like it's an important thing. Okay, and it says, يدعون فيها بكل فاكهة آمنين. They will call therein for every kind of fruit, safe and secure. They're safe and secure. These are a good thing. And fruits, eating fruits. Okay. So, you've got this description of paradise here, and Hur Al Ayn I just mentioned there, right, where here. كذلك وزوجناهم بحور عين. That's it. Right, it's not some focal thing as if this is a harem. Does it sound like a harem of sex? I mean, come on, please. Then it says, this is another in another surah, إن المتقين في جنات ونعيم. Again, who? Who? The muttaqeen. The muttaqeen, right? The muttaqeen are the ones who will enter Jannah. وأزلفت الجنة للمتقين غير بعيد. And Jannah was brought close to the muttaqeen, not far. Okay, another verse of the Quran. It says, what's the next verse? كُلُوا وَاشْرَبُوا هَنِيئًا بِمَا كُنْتُمْ تَعْمَلُونَ. They will be told, eat and drink in satisfaction for what you used to do. Okay, so again, it's talking about eating and and drinking. So why don't people say, oh, the Muslim paradise is just basically a banquet? That's all it is. No, it's the reason why people are focused on the sexual things is because right now that's what's in, people have become overly sexualized, they're hyperly sexualized. And an important thing again here is what I've mentioned many times before is that it's all by what you used to do, right? كلوا واشربوا هنيئا بما كنتم تعملون, because of what you used to do, not because of what you used to believe, right? You enter Jannah by your actions, not by your beliefs. Next verse, متكئين على سرر مصفوفة. They will be reclining on thrones lined up. Lined up mean what? They're going to be facing each other. And it says here again, it doesn't even take up the whole verse. Okay, it's only half the verse. وزوجناهم بحور عين, and we married them to حور عين. Okay, and then Surah 56, of course, Surah Al-Waqi'ah has a lot of long descriptions of Jannah. Okay, it starts off by talking about reclining on couches, facing each other, being served by drinks by youths, eating fruits, whatever they want. Excuse me. فاكهة مما يتخيرون, fruits from which they choose, ولحم الطير مما يشتهون, and birds, the meat or flesh of birds, the way they decide. And then it says وحور عين, and حور عين, and then describes them كمثال اللؤلؤ المكنون, the likeness of pearls well protected. Now that's not a sexual description, okay? It's just mentioning sort of like their beauty, their things like this, but it's not, nobody's going to be sort of turned on by something like this, right? And again, what does it say after that? جزاء بما كانوا يعملون, a reward for what they used to do, right? You enter Jannah by what you used to do. Surah Ar-Rahman, of course, has lots of descriptions of paradise, similar to 56. They are mentioned, the Hoor Al Ayn are mentioned in these verses. So here it doesn't really, they're not called Hoor Al Ayn. Okay, it just says فيهن, in these gardens, in them, are قاصرات الطرف. Okay, قاصرات الطرف means, so this is in the feminine. It just says restraining the eyes, who are some feminine things. So women are restraining the eyes. So it doesn't even say women or anything like that. لم يطمثهن إنس قبلهم ولا جان, which none have touched them before of ins or jan Okay, just give me a second. All right, sorry about that. Make sure you can all still hear me. Oh, and I have somebody backstage, Truth Seeker One. Inshallah, I'll bring you on soon. Let me just get through the rest of this presentation. Okay. Okay, so and then it says كأنهن الياقوت والمرجان, as if they were rubies or coral. Okay, so they're described in that kind of way. And then later it says فيهن خيرات حسان, and it are literally just says khairat, just means beautiful, good things. Like even that word is used in the Quran to mean do good deeds, right? Af'alul khairat, do the good deeds, right? It just means good things. But it's in the feminine here, khairat, right? So It's talking about good women. خيرات حسان. Hisan means from beautiful, right? Husn in Arabic is beautiful. So فيهن خيرات حسان. And it says Pardise حور مقصورات في الخيام. حور again, so the حور just mentioned here حور, not حور عين, just حور مقصورات في الخيام, so reserved and in tents. Okay, and again لم يطمثهن إنس قبلهم ولا جان, because it's sort of mirroring the first part, right? Because Surah Ar-Rahman is a very dual. It's got a lot of dual elements in the surah. Double things are mentioned in it. And that's really it. Okay, yes, there's a verse which is mentioned in that post. Kawaib Atraba, and that's just like two words put together, which are very like Kawaib. It just means it just comes from like like cups, right? It's like saying cups which are equal. That's basically what it's saying, right? And the interpretation is taken from that. Okay, cups, these are like the breasts, right? Right? And equal, okay, they're equal in age. So these are breasted women equal in age. But the Quran isn't mentioned that. The Quran is never vulgar. It's never vulgar, okay? It's always just in that kind of way, sort of like um, like when it talks about conception, right? فلما تغشاها حملت حملا خفيفا فمرت به. When the man covers her, okay, she conceives a light load and then goes with it, because vulgarity is to mention, things to do with the private parts and, defecation, these kind of things, to mention them explicitly. Anyway, so in the whole Quran, the descriptions of paradise, the Hoor Al Ayn or women of paradise, are quite literally one of, if not the least mentioned things. They are hardly mentioned at all. Okay, and there are numerous passages that don't mention them at all. Okay, so for example, there's one surah, Surah Al Insan. Right, it's a surah which is, it's basically dedicated to describing paradise. Traditionally they would say if you want to sort of like visualize paradise, read Surah Al-Insan, Surah Al-Rahman, Surah Al-Waqi'ah. Okay, and from these three, Surah Al-Insan doesn't even mention the Hurain or women in it at all, right? When it says مثل الجنة التي وعد المتقون in Surah Muhammad, the example of the Jannah which is promised to the muttaqeen, again, remember, okay, who goes to Jannah? Jannah is promised for who? The people of Taqwa. Okay, Taqwa is something we really need to get to grips with and strive for it. Okay, مثل الجنة التي وعد المتقون, the example of the Jannah which has been promised for the muttaqun. And then it says, in it are rivers of this, right? Are rivers of of milk, of water, of honey, right? Of wine which doesn't affect the mind, right? No mention of the women in that portion, and many parts of the Quran. Okay, and there are simply many more verses where just the wives, people's wives in this world are mentioned, right? That your wives in this world, the faithful, the muttaqeen, their wives in this world will be with them in the akhirah. Right? They will be with them and their children and those who follow and their descendants who follow them in salah. Okay, so some used to say, there are some who say that the Hoor Al Ayn are actually just your wives in this world. Okay, your wives in this world, they are the Hoor Al Ayn in the next world. Okay, now what I wanted to show is one of the first verses in the Quran which speaks about this companionship in Jannah. So it says here in Surah Al-Baqarah, I think it's verse 25, sorry, I forgot to number it. It says, وَبَشِّرِ الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ أَنَّ لَهُمْ جَنَّاتٌ تَجْرِي مِنْ تَحْتِهَا الْأَنْهَارُ, and give good tidings to those who have faith and do good deeds, that for them are gardens under which rivers flow. And then it says here, this is the important thing, كُلَّمَا رُزِقُوا مِنْهَا مِنْ ثَمَرَةٍ رِزْقًا, whenever they are given in it of a fruit as rizq, okay, they say this is similar. قالوا هذا الذي رزقنا من قبل. This is like what we were given before. And then the verse is commenting on what they're saying here. It's saying وَأُتُوا بِهِ مُتَشَابِهًا, and they had previously been given something like which is a likeness of this, meaning almost like the reality of what they're experiencing now. That's the real fruit. Okay, what they had in this world, It was like a shadow of it. Okay, it wasn't the real thing. Okay, and they say this is what we were given before, and the commentary is that "Utu bihi mutashabiha," and they had been given it before as something as just a similitude of it, as something similar to it. So if you apply that to all the fruits which are mentioned in the Quran, mentions you're going to have the rumman, wa nakhlun, and there's all these different fruits are mentioned in the Quran. Okay, okay. So when they mention it, it means, of course, in Jannah, they're not going to be the same as what we have here. They're not going to be the same as what we have. And the same thing if you talk about the wives in Hoor Al Ayn in terms of like if you can say it's going to be a sexual delight or something, let's just go with that for now. It's going to be utubih mutashabih. It's going to be something mutashabih, but it's not going to be the same. Okay, it's going to be something different. And then it says here, and because again, like I said, the Quran is never vulgar or explicit in these sort of things. Just like in the verse of fasting, right? It talks about how um, don't touch the women while you are in i'tikaf, etc., etc. And then it switches, and then it says, and eat and drink until the dawn is clear to you, and then again turns back to women, and it's alluding to saying that yes, you can also basically and can be with your wives until the dawn as well. Okay, if you go back to that part in Surah Al-Baqarah, which talks about the laws of fasting, you'll see that clearly, that shift from speaking about women and then speaking about food and saying, hey, eat and drink as much as you want, okay, until the morning, and then going back to speaking about conduct with wives, and just going straight from that to that, what's been, reading between the lines as it's supposed to be, right? In this case, it means also that just like you can eat and drink until the dawn, you can also be with your wives until the dawn. Okay, and so here is what it's saying that وَأُتُوا بِهِ مُتَشَابِهًا, and they were given it as something mutashabih. These fruits were given as something mutashabih, and then it says وَلَهُمْ, and also for them are أزواج مطهرة, are pure wives. وهم فيها خالدون. So these pure wives, okay, you could say they are also given mutashabih. Okay, وَأُتُوا بِهِ mutashabih as well. Let me bring the translation. So it says, and give good tidings to those who believe and do righteous deeds. They will have gardens in paradise beneath which rivers flow, wherein they are provided with a provision of fruits. Therein they will say, this is what we were provided with before, and it is given to them in likeness. Okay, it doesn't show it here, but in the Arabic here it says utu. It is in the past tense. Utu, and they had been given it to it in their likeness, meaning in this world. And it is given to them in likeness, and they will have therein purified spouses, and they will be to abide therein eternity. And the last thing I want to mention is this key verse, very key. Okay, it's in Surah Al-Sajdah. It says, فَلَا تَعْلَمُ نَفْسٌ مَا أُخْفِيَ لَهُم مِّن قُرَّةِ أَعْيُنٍ جَزَاءً بِمَا كَانُوا يَعْمَلُونَ. So no soul knows what has been hidden for them of comfort of eyes, meaning of delights. Okay, of delights of it doesn't come to the same thing as pleasures, right? We say قُرَّةَ أَعْيُنٍ. قُرَّةَ أَعْيُنٍ literally means the coolness of your eye. Because in Arabs you say, you cooled somebody's eyes, means you comforted them, you made them, because somebody who's crying and stuff, their eyes are hot, so you cool their eyes. Okay, قُرَّةَ أَعْيُنٍ. But it means, what I said, in the number of comfort of the eyes as a reward for what they used to do. And again here, بِمَا كَانُوا يَعْمَلُونَ, right? So paradise and Jannah is for your actions, for your deeds, not for your beliefs. فَلَا تَعْلَمُ نَفْسٌ مَا أُخْفِيَ لَهُم مِّن قُرَّةِ أَعْيُنٍ جَزَاءً بِمَا كَانُوا. The point is that nobody knows what it is. Okay, Jannah, the delights which are there. We can try to imagine it as best we can, but imaginations and stuff we won't fall. And from this verse, we can actually authenticate one of the famous narrations of the Prophet ﷺ, which said that God has prepared for His servants, in Jannah, what no eye has seen, nor any ear has heard, nor what has ever even occurred to a human heart. Meaning, whatever you think it's going to be Jannah, it's going to be like that. Whatever you're trying to imagine it's not going to be like that. Okay, certainly it's not going to be a harem of sex or something. Okay, So that's this hadith. I mention it because, like I said, it is confirmed by this. This verse confirms it. Okay, فلا تعلم نفس, no soul knows ما أخفي لهم من قرة يعني, what has been concealed for them of the pleasure of the eyes or the comfort of the eyes, as a reward for what they used to do. All right. Okay, so that's basically the end of what I wanted to say. And let me just check the chat before I bring you on, Truth Seeker 1. And we have usual people, Muhammad Hassan, Assalamu alaikum, hope you're well. And Mr. Ali Baba, thank you so much for that. I don't think I'm going to put this, the one who's under, I'm not going to highlight that because, hey man, I'm famous, he says, right? Okay. How are you famous? Adriana, salam again, hope you're well. Najib, thank you. And of course, we have Aeen with us again. All right, Truth Seeker, I'll bring you on now. Assalamu alaikum. Sorry, I didn't catch that.
Do you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Alaikum assalam, I can hear you. Yes.
MashaAllah, Khalid. Yeah, I was listening to your chat, to your caravan for quite a while now, and have a lot of your meetings I downloaded.
Oh, really? Okay. Well,
Yeah.
it's good to see that somewhere in case this channel gets shut down, right?
Yeah, I have them all. Yeah.
Yeah, I had because I had 2 copyright strikes. One of them has expired now. I've still got one more.
Okay.
So I'm waiting for that one to expire as well.
Okay. I saved it. I saved most of the, like, I think maybe one, or I just missed one of it, but most of them is saved.
All right. Okay.
Download.
Do you have the one which was removed? There was one which YouTube removed.
Yeah, you commented on that. But I don't know the name because there's one when I click on it, all of the download that I have, they play normal. But there's one when I click on it, it takes time to download, or it gives the issue. Maybe it's that one, I think.
Maybe. I think it was number 37.
Okay.
I think it was number 37. I'm not sure, but
Yeah.
I think it was number 37. That was one which was had a copyright strike against it. I tried to dispute it, but then it just said no. It was one where Aeen gave that presentation about Salah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Ibrahim's birth.
Ibrahim's birth, was it that one?
Yeah, when Aeen was talking about that they are teaching our deen. There's when the ayat using the ayat of Allah, saying that are you teaching Allah the deen?
Yeah,
and
I think it was that one.
There was Bunayya also, Dunya, and the brother was talking about how غلط العيسى or غلط المسيح عيسى ابن الله. But he was saying no,
because
it doesn't.
If you have it, if you have it, it'll be good to actually upload that again. Let me try to I'm just going to check very quickly and try to get on a new tab and see exactly if that is the one which is gone, and then maybe you can check if you do have it, or maybe I'll put it in the description of this, in the comment, and I'll pin it in this video afterwards. And I'll tell you which one.
Was it the first one that Aeen was talking about Salah, or the second one?
No, I don't think it was. I don't think it was the first one. Hold on, actually, it doesn't look like it was 37. Actually, let me see. 30, 29, 28, 26, 25, 24, 23. Which one was it? Sure, there's a quick way to know.
Was it only Aeen in there, or is another?
No, there was probably some other people who came on. Anyway, I'll pin it in the description box. Sorry, in the chat, in the comment section. Sorry, after this stream, and then just reply to me if you do have that one, and maybe we can get a way to get it back up. Because it was pity that was taken down. All right, brilliant. Anyway,
Even the brother, his name Quran centric.
yeah.
He was talking about the ayat that says about they became apes and pigs and monkeys,
Mm-hmm.
and it was removed from his website. It was saying like violation or something, but
A violation of probably anti-Semitism or something, right?
yeah, but he underneath he said that he made a mistake and he's gonna redo it, and inshallah he will repost it.
All right. Okay.
Yeah, they
Cool.
do that.
That's fine. Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
you have to be very careful sometimes what you say. You know?
No, in that one, the one which I had removed,
Mhm.
the issue was a recitation. So Ayn Man was actually showing one of his the program that he's working on, the Quran
Mhm.
app that he's working on,
Okay.
and that one was and basically recited a portion of the Quran,
Okay.
and that recitation was copyrighted.
Oh, okay. He
So
took the Quran
that was
presentation of someone else.
yeah, so that was
Okay.
the issue of that.
Oh, okay. It wasn't anything else. It was just that.
No, no,
Oh,
no.
okay.
It was just that.
Yes, I think I know what you mean. Is the one that is introducing you to the app
To
that
the
he made?
program, yeah, to that,
Yes.
yes.
Oh, okay. I know. I downloaded that one. I don't know. I'm gonna check if I have, but it's not Ibrahim's Burj. It's another one.
Yeah, it's a different one. It's a different
Yeah.
one. That one's still on my channel.
Yes, mashallah. You know, so there's so many things to talk about. You know,
Yeah,
I
no,
was,
go ahead. Yes, sorry,
yes,
you got distracted there. What do you want to speak
no,
about?
yeah, no, mashallah. I appreciate the like. There's only few people, you know, that really talks about the Quran most of the time. You know, is most of the time you're
Mm,
bombarded with the hadith and seerah and mashayikh. You know,
mm, yeah.
it's very. There was one brother. He's I don't know if you know him. His name Hamza Abdul Malik.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he said something amazing. He said whenever you see the word most akthar in the
Yeah.
Quran,
Mm,
he says it's always negative.
yeah. Yeah.
You know, he says like akthar nas la yaqilun. Akthar nas. Whenever you see
لا
most,
يفقهون. Yeah.
yeah, you know. So he
Yeah.
says if you see something that everybody's doing it, they say run away from it because
Yeah.
most
Yeah.
chances are that they are wrong. You know, so
Yeah.
that's why it's very hard to see a lot of people who are doing Tadaburat Quran, you know, like yourself and
Yeah.
Quran centric and Hamza Abdul Malik, you know, it's only
Mm,
few people, you know.
yeah.
But you know what I wanted to say is like the Quran itself, it's a universal book. It doesn't only talk to the Muslim people or like you know, it's
Mm,
uh, it's more it's more like for everybody. The Quran, I don't see anything in the Quran being sectarian. Mostly,
yeah.
it's always like general or
Yeah.
universal.
I think
But
that's one of the reasons why it doesn't mention Muslims, right, in the Quran, right? It doesn't say
yeah.
Muslimun, Ya ayyuhal ladhina aslamu, Ya ayyuhal Muslimun, right?
Hmm.
It's always talking about, Iman. And,
Yes,
you have Iman among everybody.
yes. But so if the Quran, I was wondering one time if the Quran is for everybody, then that means the words of the Quran has to be for everybody. So
Yeah.
the way, but the way that I don't know, Shaitan or is doing this is like he's trying to make the word sectarian. You know,
Mm.
like the word believer, like the word
Yeah.
mu'min, they made it believer. So
Yeah.
when you hear about the word believer, automatically you're thinking about the religious people. You
Yeah.
know, it becomes religious, like a belief, like oh, I believe this, I believe that. So or you say, oh, this is the people who believe in God. You see,
Yeah.
but the actual meaning of the word is trust,
Mm.
trusting. So if you say trust, then everybody can relate because everybody
Yeah.
know what trust is, or they trusted
Yeah.
someone or they didn't trust. So it's
Yeah.
the way like that,
You,
like many words like
yeah. Yeah.
ibadatu, salat,
I've been looking into in the past, I think past month as well, and I asked some people as well,
Mhm.
because once we get to Ramadan, we would have finished a year of doing these streams regularly, like every Saturday. And I wanted to, sort of like now dial it down. I'll probably continue it, but spend maybe some other time doing some other things as well. So what I wanted to do was to reach out, especially to Christians, Christian YouTubers, people who and I wanted to find people who are with the who are trying to read the Quran. So you've got a lot of background noise right now.
Oh, okay. Sorry about that. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So I found there was this one YouTube channel called The Cross and the Crescent, and I came across a tweet of theirs on Twitter, and I got the impression that they were reading through the Quran. So I said, it's fantastic. Maybe I could start, we could start having some sort of like dialogue or collaboration with that channel, right? But when I went there, I found there were just two people just not really bothering to actually try to understand the Quran. Just it's literally just doing their best to not understand, basically. So I said, okay, that's not going to work. I still put a comment on their channel. I said, look, and explained my objections to what they were doing, what they were doing, and then they replied with something, and I replied. One more reply and just said, if you want me to come on, I'd be happy to. They never got back to me. But recently also, the Perfect Dawah, he's been on quite a few times. I went I just checked out a channel, one of his videos, and there was a conversation there where somebody mentioned Aaron Ra. Now this is somebody who I'd seen a long time ago. He's on YouTube. He's an atheist, and a very he's a very balanced, but a very rational person. Very, very big proponent of evolution and atheism and stuff like this. And the person mentioned, there were just two people discussing this on the comment section, saying, what do you think of Aaron Ra's Qur'an reading series? And I was like, there's somebody else doing a reading of Qur'an. Okay, let me have a look. So I went on his channel. I went to the channel. I checked out the thing. And unfortunately, it looks like it's almost finished. So then basically, I think the next episode is going to be the last one, right? But he's been, very diligently reading the Quran. And at first, he struggled. He said he struggled very much reading the Quran. He was just going to make blog posts, right? He's going to read the Quran, make blog posts about his impressions. Then he saw that, he just didn't get it. He's struggling very much with the Quran. So he decided to start doing it, doing his reading, doing a blog post, and then inviting people on a live stream to come on and help him understand what he's missing. And unfortunately, Muslims refuse to do that. Without the condition that he'll be reverent to the Quran. So in the end, what happened is he just had ex-Muslims on. For the most part. I mean, I watched the first two episodes and a bit of the third, and then I went tried to find like a middle thing. I tried to find one where there's somebody who sort of had his correct information. It doesn't have to be very knowledgeable, but the correct information. A Muslim or non-Muslim or ex-Muslim doesn't matter. But man, how disappointed I was. I was so disappointed. That. And anyway, I contacted them, send a comment to him, and I tried to find his email some way. I couldn't find his email. I sent a message on Patheos. He's involved with this website called Patheos. Because he was invited. He was saying, look, I want Muslims to come on, right? I don't just want it to be ex-Muslims coming on and bashing the Quran and stuff. I want Muslims to come on, and but looks like very few were doing it.
Honest about it too?
Yeah. I mean, look, he's got nothing to be deceptive about. But the problem is that some of the people, the ex-Muslims especially, there's one guy, my God, every time he spoke, it was just wrong, inaccuracy. I'm talking about just factual inaccuracies. Like he even thought that Waraq bin Nawfal, all right, that this was before the Council of Nicaea. Waraq bin Nawfal, the one whom when the Prophet
he was signed the paper.
When he first received his first revelation, and he went to Khadija, and she took him to her uncle or cousin, Waraq bin Nawfal, Okay,
Yes.
and he's saying this was an Nestorian biblical scholar right there in the middle of Mecca, and this is pre-Council of Nicaea. Luckily, somebody called him out on that, but he has such inaccuracies in almost everything, and he gives a completely just a lot of false information. And then everybody else who comes on, they just don't seem to be able to at least help. I would like somebody to just be there just to help him see the Quran as Muslims see it, right? I mean, I recommend that that it should be free way, right? For somebody who's a non-Muslim who's trying to read and get to grips with the Quran, he has to have free approaches. There's his own reading of the Quran that he should do, his own reading, okay, what he thinks of it. Then he should try to understand what generally Muslims, okay, the mainstream or the majority of the Muslims think, okay. That's one thing, and then he can, understand, the criticism as well. So he should be reading it in sort of like levels or three different streams of thought while he's going through. But he's not getting any.
What if he falls on the translation? You know how one time you were talking about there's some really terrible translation of the Quran and you should stay away from it. What if he falls on that? Because there's like Sahih International. Sometimes most of the time I read Sahih International, the Madudi and the one that you commented last time. And, I have that Quran and it's true. It's like exactly you were saying. It's really more like Salafi type of mentality way. And I think this brother, because the Quran, the thing with the Quran is he's not Arabic. I'm not Arabic either. But so if you fall on the wrong translation, like we are depending on the translation here. So
it's true.
Maybe we should explain to the non-Muslims and the people who want to read the Quran to just not pick up any Quran because the translation is very important.
The translation. The translation, I hear what you're saying. The translation is important, but at the same time, look, the only translation which I don't recommend is the Muhsin Khan one, just because they don't put what the extra things that they want to put. They don't put it in footnotes. They put it right there in the translation, so you don't know what's what. Okay, that's what I don't like about that, right? But generally, any translation works. But at the same time, look, because he's like almost finished the whole Quran. Okay, he should have been able to. I think that he would have gotten it by now if he had done it by himself without these panelists, right? He could have gotten it by himself.
Yeah.
But for example, just the basic thing. Because he also, the other thing is his background is a lot of debating with Christians about the existence of God. So he seems to think that the Quran the Quran should try to prove the existence of God, and the Quran, of course, is not at all trying to prove the existence of God. So when you read his blog posts, you can just see the frustration. Why is he saying this? There's no evidence for this. There's no evidence for this. From his first blog post to his last blog post, he's just in that mindset where he thinks that the Quran is trying to convince him of God, right? And if he had just given it a little bit of thought, he should have realized that the Quran is not aimed at atheists. Oh, wait, we have our guest has left. Truth Seeker One. Anyway, to continue what I was saying, he should have realized that it's not, it's not about atheists, right? He should have realized that it's not about the Quran is not about trying to convince people that God exists at all. Yeah, that's a given in the Quran. The God exists. That's a given in the Quran, right? Then there's no verse trying to convince you the Quran that God exists. There are verses trying to convince you of Qiyamah, right? That the hereafter is real. Okay, in kuntum fi shakkin min al-ba'th, if you are in doubt of the resurrection, then consider this, consider that, right? But Quran is not trying to convince anybody of the existence of God. Yeah.
But even the Muslim people, they don't even when they read the Quran, they have a misconception themselves.
Yeah.
It's not like the Muslims understand the Quran. Somebody who's non-Muslim, you should talk to any Muslim and you can understand the Quran easy. It's like last time you said something interesting. You said the Quran language is very simple, very easy. You said that if 200 words you can put
Yeah.
together all the Quran. There's
Yeah,
200.
around 200 words is about 85% of the Quranic,
Yes,
Quran is like just 200 or so words.
yes.
Um,
So like when it comes to the Muslims, like the main important words of the Quran, like Iman,
mm,
Taqwa,
yeah,
Salat, they have it wrong.
yeah,
They don't even
and
understand. Like Ibadah.
mm,
Like even my own family, my own brothers, when I talk to them, I tell them, listen, Ibadah is not the five pillars, because they think
mm,
Ibadah is the Salat, the
yeah, mm,
but I tell them no, Ibadah doesn't mean that.
mm,
It's like I try to use ayat from the Quran saying, like when Allah says, "Allah ta'budu shaitan," didn't I tell you, Ibn Adam, la ta'budu shaitan?
yeah,
I said nobody is offering salat to the shaitan. It means
yeah,
following, serving, like
yeah,
you are doing like a civil servant. You know how the mayors and the
yeah,
elected, they call themselves, we are civil servants.
yeah,
So
yeah,
it's the words like that is, it's like whenever, even myself, when I read the Quran, and
mm,
I read the Sahih International most of the time. Whenever I read the English one and I see a believer, I always say it in myself, or I say it out loud, or I say it in my mind. I say, no, trust. I always change it to trust, so that I can relate to the Quran myself.
yeah,
And I never saw, when it comes to Allah Subhanahu wa Taala. I don't think Allah doesn't care about if you believe in Him or not.
mm.
He cares more about your action and your deeds.
Yeah. I
Like,
mean, we saw that just now, right, in the presentation, which wasn't even about that, but the number of
yeah,
verses which kept coming up, right? Yeah,
exactly.
reward by what you used to do, right?
Yeah. So
But
when I say to my family and my Muslim brothers, and I tell them, listen, you don't have to convert this person. This person already has taqwa. وَنَفْسٍ وَمَا سَوَاهَا فَأَلْهَمَهَا فُجُورَهَا وَتَقْوَاهَا. So everybody has
mm,
taqwa.
mm,
Everybody has وَهَدَيْنَاهُ النَّجْدَيْنِ. I think it
yeah,
refers to brain. The brain knows.
yeah,
Hidayah is part of the brain. The brain will
mm,
guide you to the good things.
yeah,
So I tell them, listen, you don't have to, like, they think, oh, these people are going to hellfire because they don't believe in Allah.
mm,
Or, I tell them, listen, there's no verse in the Quran that Allah said, if you don't believe in me, I'm going to throw you in hell.
yeah,
Allah never says that. He
yeah,
always talks about, no, like your actions.
yeah,
Whatever you do, like care about each other, help each other, don't
mm,
abuse each other, don't steal, don't backbite, don't become angry. Like, so it's when it comes, like it's like living in this amazing world, because most of the Muslims, they don't even, like, they give, especially my family, they give so much importance to the salat. Like, they just pray, pray. And I tell them, this is salat doesn't mean this. And I tell them, if somebody is helping, try to
yeah,
reason with, let's say somebody who's an atheist,
mm,
but he doesn't do anything major sins. He's a good person, and he's always helping the poor, or the orphans and all that. God is gonna put him in hellfire. And at the same time, you have this other person who claims that he believes in God and Muhammad, but he's doing all this crazy stuff.
yeah.
But they
I
know,
mean,
they
like,
say,
I
no,
mean, like you
Allah
said,
will forgive him. Yeah.
yeah, like you said, you're reminding them about these things.
Mhm.
Allah says to the Prophet in the Quran,
Mhm.
in the dhikra tanfa'al mu'minin, right? The
Yeah.
dhikra reminding will profit those people of faith, those people of trust, right?
Okay. Yeah.
If people had more faith and more trust in the Quran, these kind of the reminder of the Quran would benefit them more. Um,
Oh.
but sadly that
But,
isn't the case. And when it
but
comes to the salah issue, right?
mhm.
This is that's one of the good things. I mean, one of the things he was trying to do, this person, Aaron Ra, he's tried to read the Quran in chronological order. Well, at first he read it in the way it is. Right? He read the first surah and then the second surah, Surah Al-Baqarah, and then he
Mhm.
reached out trying to get some help because he couldn't get it. Then after that, somebody told him, it will make more sense if you read it in chronological order, which there is some truth to that. One of the earliest surahs is one of the surahs which I made that video about.
Mhm.
Surah Al-Din, right? I called it, yeah, but Surah
Yeah.
Al-Ma'un, right? And it's
Yeah.
straight away that surah is trying to disentangle this idea that the person of deen is the person of salah, right?
Okay.
You know, رأيت الذي يكذب بالدين, and then later it says فويل للمصلين, right? So woe to those who are in salah, right? Who do salah. Meaning, don't look at salah and think, yes, you know, the people who are in salah, all of them are the people of deen, you know, because that's what people generally think, right? Anyway, yeah.
But when it comes to salah, like I heard the comments of brother Iron Man and Hamza Abdul Malik. They see in the system of salat is more like the following of the Quran, the application, the people who have a commitment. Most of them, they say the word commitment.
Yeah.
But the verse you just said right now, right? وَيْلٍ لِلْمُصَلِّينَ. So are they like the people who are committed, or the people who are physically praying that
Well,
Allah?
yeah. I mean, I talk about that in a lot of depth in that video. But yeah, I mean, there are people who you see them, right? They're doing salah. I mean, you know, look, there are some who would say it's not a ritual, okay? There's no ritualistic aspect to it, etc. Okay, but you know, it's saying you know, when the surah starts off saying "Ara'ayta," do you see? Right, something that can be seen. Somebody can see somebody doing these kind of things. Yeah? Do you see the one who, you know, does takzeeb of the deen? And then it says, you know, ذلك الذي يدعو اليتيم ولا يحض على طعام المسكين. Right, that's the one who repels the ocean with harshness and doesn't encourage the feeding of the poor. And it says فويل للمصلين. So those people who you thought, you know, because when you said, you know, you wouldn't have thought of it. You know, go to anybody and do you know, the first they wouldn't have come to your mind. The people who are doing salah in the mosques, these are the people who are doing takzeeb of the deen. You know, when someone, if you know, that kind of rhetorical question, you know, do you see the one who rejects the deen? Okay, and then in your mind you start to imagine, okay, is it these people, these people, these people? You know, for most people, the idea of those people who are in the mosques or in the churches or in the synagogues doing salah, they don't come to your mind.
Okay,
they don't come to your mind. Okay. So God is saying, and so once that image is brought up, then he's saying, look, these people who you might have thought, no, they are definitely not the ones who reject the deen. Allah is saying, فَوَيْلٌ لِلْمُصَلِّينَ. Woe to those, right? But which ones, you know, الَّذِينَ هُمْ عَنْ صَلَاتِهِمْ سَاهُونَ, right?
Okay.
You know, which ones? الَّذِينَ هُمْ يُرَاءُونَ, those who show off, right? Who do it for show. So, you know, salah is something you can see.
Yeah.
So, you know, no, I fully respect the people who say that that salah is not a ritual.
Yeah, because Allah didn't, even Allah didn't say in the Quran any ritual or like that. So yeah, it's, I don't know, but something that's really. Do you have time? I can say, or
Yeah,
just,
go ahead. Go ahead. There's nobody else behind backstage, so it's fine. Go ahead.
Yeah, but just recently I was really had some thoughts coming in my mind, and I was kind of really kind of a little bit scared and at the same time and confused, because it's, you know, the word, the ayah that says woman, you talked about that too one time, woman يظلم من يفترى على الله كذبا.
ومن أظلم ممن يفتري على الله كذبا. Yeah, who is more worse than the one who invents a lie upon God. Yeah.
Yes, so it's that kind of scares me, because the way I see it, that ayat, it's, you know, Hassan Farhan Maliki also talked about that, you know, when he used the example of the two sons, and both of them, they did a crime, and when they got caught, one said, my father told me to do this, and the second one said, no, I did this by myself. He says, which one of the son that it's more closer to you? It's the one that said he did it by himself.
Exactly.
And Hassan Farhan continue, and he says, the problem with us Muslims is we attribute so many lies to Allah. So we say, we do, like, all the things we do, we say, oh, Allah told us to do that, or Allah do that, you know, and that's like it's one of the three things that the shaitan likes humans to do. Allah tells us, he says, وَالسُّوءُ وَالْفَحْشَاءُ وَأَن تَقُولُوا عَلَى اللَّهِ مَا لَا تَعْلَمُونَ. And
yes, exactly.
So this is also iftira ala Allah kadiba. And so when, like, if like people were doing like example, the people who pray. I was thinking about people who pray the physical salat, the ritual salat, and they can do it, but if they say no, Allah told us to do this, I think that's when the lie comes in, because it's like people who do yoga, they don't say this is the God who told us to do this. It's a religion thing, or so it's. But the Muslims, the problem, they do a lot of things that Allah didn't even said, but they attribute to Allah, and that's one of the biggest problem. I think maybe Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is punishing us for this also, because the majority of the problem in the Islamic world is they don't do it. It's these things that everything they do, they seem to just attribute always to Allah. Allah said, told us, Prophet told us, Prophet. So Allah told Prophet, and Prophet told us, or Allah tell us directly. And if you go back to the Qur'an, you never see those things. And that's the image they're giving to the people who are non-Muslims, or it's like I think that's where the whole problem comes in. Like I was kind of like saying, may Allah.
Yeah, but I mean, we shouldn't get too carried away with categorizations, right? So let's say, for example, yes, let's say the ritual salah isn't the way God would most like people to do salah, but it's still salah for them. It's still salah, right?
Okay.
The Jews used to do salah, right? It's mentioned in the Quran that they used to do their salah. Okay, that's their salah. Okay, people all over the world, they have their salah. So in the end, what did God command? He commanded salah. Okay, so somebody who is doing salah, right? That the fact that they're doing salah, that's not iftira ala Allah. That's not an iftira ala Allah, right? But let's say, okay, that the ritual salah is wrong. Then you say, well, Allah commanded that you do 5 salat in the day, that they're done this way, exactly this way, 2 rakat, this, that's iftira. Okay? That would be iftira, because now you're adding something on top of that. You're adding something on top of that. But it doesn't have to, the base part of it, which is that you're doing salah, that's not an iftira. Just because I think in India
they do their salat, is true. But the thing is, like the 5 times salat, okay, the ruku, the sujood, and everything, that's not mentioned in the Quran. But the thing that's not only the problem is, they seem to say you are not a Muslim if you don't do like us. Like
of course, that's
exactly in the Muslim community, sometimes they will punish someone, or they will they're gonna give a hard time to the person because they say you are not doing what Allah is telling you to do, and and salat is the most important thing, and this is the way, and after that, they will try to implement on other people, saying no, this is the way, you see, and like the 5 pillars, like Hassan Farhan Maliki was saying, the word arkan is not even in the Quran. Okay,
the word what?
The word arkan.
Arkan, the pillars of it. I suppose.
Arkan is not even, that word is not in the Quran at all. You see, and so it's the implementation of it. It's like what they attribute to it. If they were just saying, okay, this is our, if they were like humble, and if they were talking a little bit like you, and they're saying, listen, no, this is the way we understood salat, and we're praying this way. But are you supposed to oblige other people? Are you supposed to label other people if they don't do it? Like, what did Allah say? Did Allah said, okay, if anybody who doesn't do the salah this way, then he's, so this is the whole I think iftira Allah kadiba, like in my mind.
In that case, I think in the one you mentioned, right, it's you have the hadith, which is that the salah is the umud al-din, right? That's iftira ala Allah kadiba, right?
Exactly.
That salah is the pillar of the deen. And that's, I didn't mention it in that Surah al-Din video, but that actually goes straight against that surah, right? The surah where God is talking about the deen in a very succinct way. In that, it's saying wailun lil musallin. So then, how can salah be the amud of the deen, right? In fact, you would say, if you're going to correct that hadith, right, you would say no. The pillar of the deen is to be good to orphans,
Yes,
and to encourage the feeding of the poor. That would be more in line with the Quran. Not that the salah is the
yeah,
pillar.
it's so many things. Like even like Prophet Muhammad. They're saying Muslims always talk about Prophet Muhammad. Yeah, God told us to follow Prophet Muhammad, but there's a difference between Nabi Muhammad and Rasul. You know, even the word Rasul, there's regular Rasul and there's Rasulullah or Rasulun min Allah. You know, so when I tell them, listen, there's no word in the Quran, but Allah says follow Prophet Muhammad. There's no such thing, because the simple reason of it is Allah knows that we're not going to see Prophet Muhammad. So I
But
cannot
that what could be the counter to that, of course, is that there's no time in the Quran where Allah says obey Allah, okay, unless it also comes with it obey the messenger.
Rasul, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, the word messenger, even in the Quran, and the queen Sheba, when she said to Sulaiman, they sent Rasul. It's because the word is like the other words in the Quran that people like completely misunderstand. Whenever they hear the word Rasul, they think about prophet, somebody holy, somebody chosen by God. They don't think Rasul, like the Sahaba could be Rasul, and the Tabi'een could be Rasul. Rasul is somebody who's bringing a message, you know. So that's why Allah always says, didn't my messengers reach you? Because he knows everybody will be reached by a messenger somehow. The Quran will reach him, the ayat will reach him by somebody, whether it's Sahaba or Tabi'i or Mashayikh or ulama or even your parents, even friends. It's somebody who just, it says, my message will reach you. Somebody will bring you my message. So whenever they see that the word Rasul, they think, oh no, this is somebody holy, somebody important, somebody blessed, somebody. But Rasul, like the ayat, لم يكن الذين كفروا من أهل الكتاب والمشركين منفكين حتى تأتيهم البينة رسول من الله. See, prophet from God. So Allah has also sent messengers, holy messengers from himself. Okay, like Prophet Muhammad was one, but the word Rasul is the same thing as the ibadah, mu'min, salat. It's completely misunderstood, you know. And so always this obsession about Prophet Muhammad. God,
I personally haven't looked into the distinction between, Rasul, Rasul min Allah, or things like this. I haven't looked into that.
Yeah. Is this it's because like if you, sometimes I was thinking about like why would Allah gonna tell, if you tell me follow that person, I have to see that person. Like if you let's say you rented a tour guide and you tell me, okay, go there, you go into the tour, but there will be a guide there. So when you get there, follow that person. And I get there and I don't see nobody. And then you haven't really you haven't really rented anybody to guide me. So the thing with Prophet Muhammad is that Allah is Hakim, okay, is wise, and is Alim, and is how. Why would Allah say? That's why Allah never says in the Quran to follow Prophet Muhammad. He always says messengers, because Allah knows that we're not going to see Prophet Muhammad. Most of the people who call themselves Muslims or who become Muslims or anything, majority of them never saw Prophet. Majority of them. Even I think you were talking about that there were people in Medina at the time, or in Arabia, who heard about Prophet Muhammad. They never went to see him. I don't know if you were.
Yeah, that's right. There are many famous examples of those, and there's the famous one of Voice al-Qarni as well.
Exactly, people like that. So it's like they talk about Prophet Muhammad like Prophet Muhammad is like their friend. They see him, he's like right next to them, and Allah is saying in the Quran, you are not responsible of their guidance. You cannot guide nobody. Okay, and He says it's for me to. Allah is saying, I'm the one who guide. I'm the one who transmit. Okay, and even the Quran, it says when you hear the Quran, follow it. So it's subhanallah, it's like it's unbelievable. What's like when you really think about it, it's really amazing, because majority of Muslims, the image of the Prophet Muhammad, it's they first of all, a lot of lies are attributed to Prophet Muhammad, but they use that, and in I think is one of the iftira Allah kadiba, because they say no, Allah told us to follow Prophet Muhammad. Why would Allah tell you somebody to follow somebody you're never gonna see? Why are you lying about Allah? That's a lie itself. So subhanallah, when you really look at it, I don't know. I think the main thing is just to maybe concentrate on the Quran. But it's like even my own family, I have a hard time even when I tell them about those things. I say, listen, my mom, my dad, my brothers, and it's like it's very like it's really traditional so-called Muslims. Like they hadith and all these amazing things, and I think what is going on, the reason why the Muslim world, it's such a like they're not like all this punishment is happening. I think it's because of this, because we are not really doing like you talked about that one time. It's very interesting. You talk about how Allah never punishes somebody He loves, like the ayat when I don't know if the Jews and Christian they're saying, oh, Allah is we are the chosen, and we are His ahbab, we are His beloved, Then you said Allah saying in the Quran, yeah, but why would Allah punish you if He loved you? So you said the counterpoint to that is Allah never punished somebody He loves. So if you are seeing problem in your life and sufferance, I think the same thing that happened to Bani Israel is happening to us, because this is a punishment, like even like I'm from Somalia. I know, like even I was checking the news yesterday. They're saying a severe drought, severe famine is coming to Somalia. Already the war going on, and plus sometimes there's no rain that even comes out. So it's like when I see all these sufferings, the Palestinians, everywhere you go in the Muslim world, the Afghans, it's I think it is the same example as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because Allah basically is saying, don't think yourself you're special. Like the ayat also said to the Bani Israel, He says, you are a creation amongst other creatures. There's nothing special about you. So one of the things that Shaitan do, he try to make you yourself you're special. Like a lot of Muslim people, they believe, oh, we have the kalima tayyiba. We are special. We are chosen people. We are, and they always quote that ayat, kuntum khayra ummati ukhrijat lin-nas. But it's amazing.
Let me just because I had this question put there, they're asking, TTR, can you comment on the hadith? The first thing Allah will ask you on the day of judgment is salah. If you always prayed, everything will be okay, perfect. That isn't actually how the hadith goes. It says is saluhat, if it was salih, if it was whole, if it was done properly, that sort of thing, right? That saluhat. I think it's Salahat. I'm thinking about the one about the heart. Okay, but anyway, the point is the same, I suppose. If you always pray that everything will be perfect and you will go to Jannah, and if it's not, you go to hell. Yeah, no, that's of course is just not right, because well, if you take the actual salah as it's supposed to be, if it's done properly as it's mentioned in Surah Al-Ma'arij, right? Surah Al-Ma'arij, which talks about musallin there, right? So you have in Surah Al-Ma'un, right? Called Surah Al-Din. You have it talks here about musallin there, right? It says waylun musallin. And you have in Surah Al-Ma'arij where it says illa al-musallin, and at the end of that it promises them paradise. Ulaika fi jannatin mukramun. Those are in Jannah, honored. So yeah, if somebody who's one of the musallin, but one of the musallin means there's a lot of qualities that come with it and after it, right? In the salat and hanil fahsha munkar, right? For example, that salah prevents you from indecency, and open evil. All right. So this sort of hadiths are the things which sort of like they try to chop things up for you, right? Try to chop things up for you. Say, here's salah, okay? Do the salah and you'll be fine. Okay? It's like salah is by itself. It's completely isolated from the rest of your life, your deen, right? Of how it's supposed to affect you, right? So you just do the actual ritual, all right, the actual salah, and then that's it. You're fine. Okay, that's what this sort of hadith gives the impression of. You do the salah, and then you go out and you can do other things, and it's fine, right? Now there is something about that where in the Quran says mentions that the salah أقيم الصلاة طرفي النهار وزلف من الليل, right? إن الحسنات يذهبن السيئات. So saying establish salah in the two halves of the day and in the near part of the night. Truly the good things, hasanat, make the bad to go away. So there is that part of it where the salah does have this. It is a hasana. It does have that cleansing quality that will make the bad go away. Okay, but the bad go away. It's not just talking about just the sins going away. If you're doing salah in like this, okay, then when you've stopped to do your salah in the latter part of the day, and you should remember how you had behaved in the before that, just before in that part of the day, right? So then that should make you stop behaving in that evil, however you behaved, right? Because it's supposed to be moments of contemplation and introspection, you know, taking you back to how you're supposed to be, right? Tanhan al-fahsha and munkar. It's supposed to take away the fahsha and the munkar. So no, I definitely don't accept this hadith. That's it. Just if you do your salah, that's it. No, if you are of the musallin, yes. Again, there's a big difference between somebody who just does the salah, all right, and somebody who is of the musallin in the way God wants you to be. And that's mentioned in Surah Al-Ma'arij, if you go to that. And those verses, in Surah Al-Ma'arij, you see how God talks about the musallin there. That, if you're like that, then you're of the musallin. If you're not, no, you're not. Okay? And if you are like that, then you are promised Jannah. That the verse at the end of that promises them Jannah. Right? So I don't know if I answered that well enough. Okay, but like I said, go to Surah Al-Ma'arij, from verse, I think it's verse 22. Surah Al-Ma'arij is Surah 70, from verse 22. It says, إِلَّا الْمُصَلِّينَ, and it says, الَّذِينَ هُمْ عَنْ صَلَاتِهِمْ دَائِمُونَ وَالَّذِينَ فِي أَمْوَالِهِمْ حَقٌّ مَعْلُومٌ لِلسَّائِلِ وَالْمَحْرُومِ, those who are constant in their salah, and those who, of their wealth, there is a known right for one who asks for something, and the one who doesn't, right? And those who truly believe in Yawm al-Din, and etc. Well, there's a lot of noise there.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. And at the end of it, it says, one of the key things that mentioned in those qualities, وَالَّذِينَ هُمْ بِشَهَادَاتِهِمْ قَائِمُونَ, those who when they're called upon to bear testimony, they testify, right? بِشَهَادَاتِهِمْ قَائِمُونَ, that their testimony is really there, right? It's really there for God. They testify for God, not for anybody else. And then again it says وَالَّذِينَ هُمْ عَلَى صَلَاتِهِمْ يُحَافِظُونَ, and it says at the end of that أُولَٰئِكَ فِي جَنَّاتٍ مُكْرَمُونَ, they are in Jannat مُكْرَمُونَ. Those musallin are in Jannah. They are in Jannah. Okay, and if you read those verses, you'll see again that it's through their salah they were able to gain all of that, right? And they were able to gain, and all of those are linked to taqwa. All of those are linked to taqwa. Taqwa and ihsan. But yeah, this kind of hadith, which it's a type of hadith which tries to basically chop up the deen, to make you just do one thing and then forget about it. It's one of those, like because one of the things that if you start actually studying the hadith literature and stuff, and you start to see, okay, where are these hadiths coming from, where are the origins, the narrators, which factions do they belong to, which areas were they, etc. Like this, you start to see that a lot of these kind of narrations, where the narrations of irja, which are basically by the authorities, the early caliphs and the Umayyads, the Abbasids, they like it that people should just be concerned with their mosque, concerned with prayer, be concerned, do these, do say subhanallah 33 times and Allah Akbar 30, say these things, right? And then you can believe you're going to Jannah and don't do anything else, right? Don't try to establish justice. Don't enjoin the right, forbid the wrong. Don't you dare speak out against what we are doing, and also for themselves. So people could criticize them. No, but you're criticizing us, but we do salah. We do salah, right? We say la ilaha illallah, so we're going to Jannah anyway, right? Anyway, that's what I would say to that. Definitely, I would not accept the hadith at all.
Can I ask
And
you?
and what Allah says in the Quran about the closest thing to that, if you want something in the Quran which the closest thing to that, which if it is sound, then everything else is fine. It's the heart, right? The verse in the Quran which says, "Illa man ata Allah biqalbin salim," except the one who comes to Allah with a sound heart. Right? That's why you have to come to God with a sound heart, not sound salah. Right? Not sound salah. Come to God with a sound heart, and you'll be fine. Come to Allah with a salah which you think was salah of the musallin, and then you find out that no, that it was of the wailun musallin, and you'll be thrown into hell, right? Because it's like a hujjah against you. Yes, sorry, what were you saying?
Yeah, brother, I wanted to ask you one last question. I was thinking about like this up for a long time. It just came to my mind. The taqwa. You talked about taqwa, right? How it means the meaning of taqwa is something that everybody has. And
It's somebody everybody's capable of taqwa.
yeah,
It's something which is mulham in the human heart, right? Inspired in the heart. You recited the verse yourself. وَنَفْسٍ
yeah,
وَمَا سَوَّاهَا فَأَلْهَمَهَا فُجُورَهَا وَتَقْوَاهَا. It's being
yeah,
sawiya, is
yeah,
having its taqwa and its fujur known to it. Yes,
yeah.
go
And
ahead.
you were talking about how taqwa is the opposite of aggression.
Yeah, of
So
Udwan.
yeah,
Yeah,
in
that's
Duan, yeah. But I understand like the word taqwa itself. I can understand a little bit what it means. But when Allah add His name to it, when He says "Wattaqullah," وَمَنْ يَتَّقِ اللَّهِ, when Allah is joined with the word, what is that? What does that mean? Like,
this is one of the
acknowledge Allah, or I don't think it's that, but
this is one of the things which I actually because of course this definition was brought to light by Hassan and Maliki. So it's one of the things I questioned him about. I said, how does it mean that? Okay. And he basically says, look, this is the definition which is most needed right now. But I'd say the basic thing that people need to understand is about taqwa. Okay, taqwa. You can understand it later, right? But first of all, understand what taqwa is, right? Taqwa is opposite of udwan, clearly in the Quran, in those verses, and also I showed it myself about those whom God loves and those whom God doesn't love, right? So Allah says
okay,
in the Quran 3 times that He loves al-muttaqeen, and He
yeah,
says exactly 3 times that He doesn't love the mu'tadeen. Okay, these are definitely opposites, right?
okay,
Now, even this thing, because I also, again, this is something I brought up to Hassan Malik. I said, that's not really the opposite, right? Because he says taqwa is to basically prevent yourself from harm and aggression. I said, well, that's not really the opposite of udwan, right? It's like saying, okay, there's lying, to use the Quran example, and there's al-bir and ism, right? So you can say, okay, then if you didn't know what bir means, and you're going to define it by ism, right? And you say, okay, then bir is the opposite of ism. So then you say, well, bir is to refrain from ism. No, that just brings you to the middle. That brings you to the middle, right? Bir is actually a positive thing. It's more than that. The same way, taqwa is actually a positive thing. It's not just to refrain from harm and aggression. Okay, that's the basic. That's like the foundational. Somebody who is engaged in harm and aggression can't be a muttaqi. You have to actually have that That's like the foundation. But he mentioned as well many times. I don't have any video translations of those, but that in the end, taqwa is linked with ihsan, right? So it goes up with ihsan, right? So the actual real opposite of udwan, all right, is going to be ihsan, right? sort of the opposite in terms of the positive qualities, right? So just like you can be harming somebody, okay. The minimum taqwa is that you stop. I'm going to stop harming. Just like when somebody sees somebody beating somebody else in the street, they will say, "Ya akhi, taqillah." Have taqwa of Allah. Stop. Refrain. Right? Why are you saying ittaqillah? Why do you mention Allah here? Ittaqillah. It means have taqwa of Allah means have a view to Allah. It's actually I basically, to cut the long story short, I said it's the Quranic term of the very known term muraqabatullah, right?
Okay.
So taqwa in the Quran is what is generally known as muraqabatullah, right? Something, a word which Hassan Malik uses a lot as well. It says muraqabatullah a lot as a praiseworthy value. Okay, but it's not in the Quran. This word muraqabatullah. What's the equivalent? The equivalent is taqwallah. Equivalent is taqwallah, right? It's basically to be watchful. Muraqabah is to be mindful. Yeah, so those translations which translate taqwa as God consciousness or being mindful of God, they're pretty correct. They're correct, but they don't include the other things. Okay, so basically the inner part of taqwa is in the heart, because the Quran says, فَإِنَّهَا مِن تَقْوَى الْقُلُوبِ وَمَن يُعَظِّمْ شَعَائِرَ اللَّهِ, and whoever magnifies the symbols of Allah, it's from the taqwa of the hearts. And we have hadiths which confirm this, where the Prophet would say, "At-taqwa ha-huna, at-taqwa ha-huna," he pointing to his heart, saying the taqwa is here, it's in the heart. So the inner part of what taqwa is, in essence, it's something in the heart, which is muraqabat Allah. It manifests outwardly. The minimum base of that is that you'll be refrained from harming and aggressing against anybody, because you're not going to harm and aggress against somebody while you know God is watching you. Okay, and then but that's the base level. The higher level, of course, is that you're actually going to be good to somebody, right? Because if you're now watching, you're inwardly watching God, you're also now, depending on how well you know God and you're closest to God, right? You're inwardly watching God and His qualities. He's Ar-Rahman, He's Kareem, He is, all of. So now you're going to be like that as well, and that will make you a muhsin in the world. You act with ihsan. So now you're gonna stop harming somebody. Now you're gonna do ihsan to them. You're gonna do good to them. Okay, does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense. Me myself, I thought maybe the word was more like what makes us human. Like, how they say this person is a humanitarian. Because if the ayah that says فَلَمَّهَا فِجُورَهَا وَتَقْوَاهَا, if every soul has taqwa inside, and I think that taqwa is what makes us human. Like that's humanitarian. Like the word the humanitarian, humanitism is a human. It's like when somebody he's like he's a very good person. He says he's a very good human. Like the whole
Well, look, I
concept.
mean, the human being was created by God. Even those who don't believe in God, they were still created by God. You can't jump over your own shadow. Okay, no matter how hard you try, you're not going to jump away from your shadow. You are what you are. You are. So yes, even those people who are humanitarians, they don't realize it. But of course, that inner light of of recognition of why they're being a humanitarian. Why? Okay, and yet it's because that's from God. That's from God.
Yeah, that's what I think taqwa is the taqwa that's
Yeah, it doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be an explicit muraqabah of Allah, right? When you say muraqabat Allah, we're talking about Allah. Allah is abstraction. It could be muraqabah of the truth, right? Muraqabat al-haq, muraqabat al-sidq, right? Muraqabat al-adl, right? Being watched, having those higher values there, okay? Because those higher values, in the absolute sense, are God, right? The highest thing that they are, God is al-adl. He is the just. He is the haq. He is the merciful, right? So those who are
maybe that's when they say God created man as an image. Like a lot of Christians believe that, Jewish people also believe that.
Yeah, but the way they have it is basically, I'm from a what's it called? I'm from apologists or whatever. Tashbih. They have it in a tashbih manner, and that's just obviously. It seems like it's just been corrupted from what it was. So it obviously started at something much higher value, much more high thinking, and then it descended into that kind of thing. You know, you have God walking around in the garden, you know,
Mm-hmm.
looking looking
Yeah.
around, checking behind bushes and stuff.
Yeah, but that ayah that you said the last time about alhama fujura wa taqwa, and that's really my mind was really exploded, because that basically explains that everybody has taqwa. Like every human has taqwa
Yeah,
inside of, you see. And when
yeah,
you're saying like in this broadcast, you were saying Jannat is for the muttaqin.
yeah,
So that means every human who that taqwa that was inside of him, if he was close to that, he had muqarab raqaba with that.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
that's who will go to Jannah in a way,
yeah.
you
Yes,
know.
exactly,
But
exactly.
like regular Muslim today, the word taqwa, it means fear of God. Like they
Yeah,
don't think you can be a person who has taqwa and not be a Muslim. You know,
yeah,
in their
yeah,
mind, somebody who has a taqwa is somebody who's Muslim. You have to have you have to believe in God to be a muttaqin, you know, from the muttaqin.
mm,
But that's because they don't read the Quran. You know, but
yeah.
it's amazing, inshallah. That's,
Mm.
thank you for explaining.
No problem, no problem. All right, let's see. I just want to check some if there's anything in the chat that somebody wants me to deal with. I know there was a lot of back and forth as has become quite common. Let me see. There's this nice this nice one from TTI says, you know, that you said, you know, humanitarian, positive. He said taqwa is positiveness, ihsan. Perfect explanation. Makes perfect sense. Okay. All right. Every time I call. All right. Okay. If there's anybody who has something, I'm not going to be able to look through on the chat. If there's anybody who has something they wrote before, can you just rewrite it? Otherwise, I think we'll end it there. I wonder how, I don't know if he started or not. You know, the Perfect Hour mentioned it last week. He was going to be doing a debate with David Wood today or something. So, you know, wish him luck with that. You know, these kind of, I hope it's more of a discussion than a debate. There's really no point in a debate. You should just be trying to teach people and then leave it at that. But anyway, we'll see. Yeah, so Fahad is asking Iron Man. Iron Man, can you find your views anywhere so I could follow you? So check Iron Man. I don't think he has anything on his YouTube channel or anything. But yes, he did make a presentation on my channel about Salah. I forget which video it was. Iron Man, if you could let her, let I'm saying her. I just have this idea that this person is a her because Fatih. I'm thinking about Fatima. But yeah, the presentation. Yeah, the presentation that Iron Man did, very thorough presentation. It was really nice. He did it on my channel here. He came on and did a very nice presentation. So I don't remember which stream that was on. Iron Man, if you could let them know. And Truth Seeker one. So what I'll do is I'll pin a message to this video after we finish the stream. I'll pin a message saying which stream is the one which was taken down for copyright strike. And then if you could let me know if you have that downloaded, and then if we could find a way to arrange it so that I could re-upload it, that would be much appreciated.
Inshallah.
All right.
Okay.
All right. Okay. So I guess we'll end this there. Thank you everybody for coming on. Okay, I already watched the slide presentation. All right, that's fine. Then I'm not sure where else I can. It says here. You can find them in the comments of many hadith rejectors' YouTube videos. Well, that's a lot of YouTube videos to try and look for your comments in. I'm I think you're gonna have to be a bit more specific. Just put some of it down in the comment section of this video as well. Anyway, guys, look, thank you for coming on, and my apologies for can't really do
Get
anything
well
about it
soon.
being sick.
Get well
And
soon.
say it again, sorry.
I said, may Allah get well soon. May Allah bring
Yeah.
all.
Thank you so much. All right, everybody, we'll end it there. Thank you so much for attending, and inshallah, I'll see you next week. Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum.